Today we are going to discuss force and laws of motion. Our first topic is what is force? Suppose there is a trolley. To move it in the forward direction, we apply some force here. We apply some effort here to move this trolley in the forward direction. Next object, we have a car. This car is moving car. To stop this car, we will apply brakes. That means we are applying some effort to stop this car. And here in this case, we are applying some effort to move this stationary object. So, the effort we are applying in both these cases, that effort is called force. Technical definition of force is a push or a pull which can change the magnitude of velocity of an object. What can force do? Force can change the magnitude of velocity of an object. How? For example, we want to accelerate the car. For that, we will press the accelerator. We are applying some effort and it will move faster. So, accelerating the car means changing the magnitude of velocity of an object. We are accelerating the car, that means car moves faster. And we apply brakes, that means we are applying some effort. Again, it's a force. It stops the car or it slows it down. So in both of these cases, we are changing the magnitude of velocity by applying some effort. That effort is called force. Second point under this definition is force is a push or pull which can change direction of motion of an object. It can change the direction of motion of an object. How? For example, in cricket you see when ball hits the bat, its direction changes. Third point under the definition of force is the push or pull which can change the shape and size of an object. Suppose you have a spring, you pull it from both the directions. Spring expands, that means size of the spring is changed after application of force on both the sides. So force can change the size of an object. Spring expands after application of force. There is a rubber ball. When we compress this, when we apply some force, this spherical ball changes its shape. It's get little elongated. That means force can change the shape of an object. This is a rubber ball. So for defining the force completely, you have to write all these points. Then after that, no other point left behind. Force is the push or pull which can change the magnitude of velocity of an object. It can change the direction of motion of an object. It can change the shape and size of an object. This definition in itself is a complete definition of force. For fetching good marks, you have to write all these 3 points. Next is types of forces. We have 2 types of forces, balanced force and unbalanced force. Suppose there is a wooden block and 2 strings X and Y are tied on opposite faces of this block. This is a wooden block. When I apply some force along the X direction, this block will move in the X direction. And when I apply some force along Y direction, it will start moving in the Y direction. But what will happen if I apply equal force in both the directions? In X direction and Y direction, I am applying, let's say, 5 Newton in both the directions. Then obviously the block will not move because equal force is acting on both the sides. And that is also in the opposite direction. So wooden block will not move. And that is called the balanced force. This balanced force, it doesn't change the state of rest of the object. State of rest or state of motion also. And if I apply greater force in this direction than this direction, then block will move in this direction. When the block has started moving, that means unbalanced forces are acting. That force is called unbalanced force when the block has started moving in a particular direction. When I am applying greater force in x direction, block will move in this direction, and when I am applying greater force in this direction, block will move in this direction. That is called unbalanced force, when there is a greater force in one direction than the other direction. Let's write down the definition of balanced force. A force where two forces of equal size act on a body in opposing directions is known as balanced force. Equal magnitude but directions are opposite. That force is called balanced force. And what is the outcome? Outcome is it doesn't change the state of rest or of motion of an object. Object will stay at rest if it is in rest condition earlier, and if it is in motion, it will stay in motion when the balanced forces are acting on that object. Well, we have taken a wooden block is there, string X is tied and string Y is tied in the opposite faces of this block. And when balanced forces are acting, when the equal and opposite forces are acting on this block will not move at all. So that is the example of balanced force. Another example you can take, you would have seen the game of tug of war, where there is a rope and few persons are pulling it from this side. This is team 1, and few persons are pulling the rope from other side. This is team 2. What they are doing? There is a rope and few people are pulling it there on their side, and few people are pulling it on their side. So what will be the outcome? Here what is happening? Both the teams are applying equal force in opposite directions. So neither of the team is able to pull the opposite team towards itself. So the result is they are not able to pull the team towards itself, and they are applying the balanced force. The second example we have taken is game of tug of war. Next is unbalanced force. This we have already discussed, that there is a wooden block, string X and string Y. When we apply greater force in one direction, the block will move in that direction. That applied force is the unbalanced force. That means motion is occurring, object has come in motion, that is the unbalanced force. And the definition of unbalanced force is a force where two forces acting in opposing directions on a body are not equal, and brings an object in motion. What is the observation? What is the result? That the object has been brought in motion. That force is known as unbalanced force. You have to remember that forces are acting in opposing directions and they are not equal, and the outcome is that object has been in motion. For example, we have already discussed that block case, wooden block case we have already taken as an example. You can mention it here. And another example you can take, kicking a football. There is a football. If you kick this football and it moves from one place to another, that means unbalanced force are acting on it. This ball has been brought in motion, that means unbalanced force are acting on this. So kicking a football is an example of unbalanced force. Now when you have understood the concept of balanced force and unbalanced force, can you write down some points of differences between these forces? First point is equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. Unbalanced force, unequal in magnitude. Second point is balanced forces does not cause any change in the state of rest or motion. Unbalanced force causes change in the state of motion of an object. In third point, you can mention the examples we have discussed. Wooden block will not move here in the case of balanced force because the forces are equal and opposite in direction. And in the case of unbalanced force, wooden block moves in the direction of greater force. Where there is greater force, block will move in that direction. You can mention the examples also. What is inertia? The natural tendency of undisturbed objects to stay at rest or to keep moving with the same velocity is called inertia. What is this? When an object is at rest, it will try to stay at rest. And when an object is moving, it will try to keep moving with the same velocity. This is the natural tendency of our body, and that tendency, that property is called inertia. You can understand this with the help of an example. Suppose there is a bus and that is at rest at present, and we are standing in the bus waiting for the bus to start. Now the bus suddenly starts and we tend to fall backward. What is the reason to tend? What is the reason to fall backward? Because earlier our body was at rest and the bus was at rest. But when the bus starts, our body falls backward because our body's natural tendency, it is trying to be at rest. It is trying to stay at rest. This is natural tendency of our body. Bus has started, but our body is still trying to be at rest. So it resists that change. What it is doing? It is resisting that change. You take another example. Suppose we are sitting in a car and car is moving. Person is sitting in a car and car is moving, and suddenly brakes are applied. So our body will try to resist this change. Our body will try to resist this stop, and this is the natural tendency of our body. And when the brakes are applied, we will fall forward. We will fall in the forward direction. You can take another example. Suppose we are moving in a car and the car takes a sudden turn. Our body will move in the other direction because our body will try to remain in the same direction and it will resist the change. And that property, that natural tendency of the body to stay at rest or to keep moving with the same velocity or to remain in the same direction, that tendency is called inertia. So I hope you have understood the concept of inertia. Our body resists any kind of change. And that is the natural tendency of our body. Now when you have understood the concept of inertia, you will easily understand what is first law of motion, because first law of motion is nothing but the same inertia. That is also called law of inertia. Let's discuss few examples of Newton's first law of motion, and then after that we will come to the statement of first law of motion. Let's say there is a car and initially the car is stationary. At present the car is not moving, it is in stationary condition. And this car will not move. And this car will not move unless driver press the accelerator, unless driver applies some force. What we have discussed in this example, the car is stationary and it will not move unless the driver press the accelerator. That means he is pressing the accelerator and he is applying some force. So till then the car will not move until and unless the driver is pressing the accelerator and he is applying some force. So to move this car, force is required, an external force, an unbalanced force is required. Okay. Let's see another example. Now there is a car and now this car is moving. This car is moving with some velocity. This car will not stop. What we will do to stop this car? We will apply brakes. And in form of brakes, what we are doing? We are applying force. An example to what we have discussed. Car is moving with some velocity. It will not stop unless the driver applies some force. Driver applies some force means driver will apply brakes, then only the car will stop. Now the first law of motion states that Newton's first law of motion states that an object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. That means an object will stay in a state of rest or of uniform motion until and unless there is an external force, there is an external unbalanced force which is going to move that object or to stop that object. We discussed in these two examples. Earlier the car was at rest, we have applied some force, we have pressed the accelerator and the car starts moving. In the second example, the car was moving earlier and to stop this, we have applied force, we have applied brakes, then only the car was stopped. So, this condition, unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. This is important. Let's take another example. There is a football and I want to move it from one place to another. How I can move this football? I will kick this football by my leg. Yes, then only then it will change its state of rest and it will move when I apply force on this football. When I kick this football, then only this football will move. So, the statement says it will stay in a state of rest unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. I am applying force on this football by kicking this football. So, then only this football will move. Then only this football will change the state of rest to motion. So getting this point, dear children, this is as simple as that. There is no hard and fast rule in this first law of motion. This is such a simple law. This is something we already experienced in our daily life. We used to experience all these examples, all these situations in our daily life, but few more examples to clear the concept better. I throw a ball. This is a ball, and when I throw a ball, this will travel some distance, it will move through some distance, and after that it slows down and then finally stops. Can you think what is stopping this ball? Now there is nothing visible. What is stopping this ball? I throw a ball, it traveled some distance, and after traveling some distance it finally stops. What is stopping this ball? What is that external force called? Yes, that external force is the frictional force which is acting opposite in movement of this ball, in the direction of movement of this ball. Frictional force. This frictional force is acting, this is acting in opposite direction of the motion of the ball and gradually decreasing its speed, and finally the ball will stop after traveling certain distance. There is a table and on this table a jug is kept. This jug will not move itself. It will not change its state of rest unless compelled to change that state. When somebody comes and pick this jug from the table, then only this jug can move from here. Then only this jug can change the state of rest. When somebody comes and pick this jug from here and keep it somewhere else, then only this jug can move from here to some other place. Okay. So an object will remain in a state of rest. Okay, this is at a state of rest and it will change its state of rest only when it is compelled to change that state by some external applied force. So dear students, in all these examples we have discussed, earlier the object was either at rest or it was moving. And it could change the state only when it is forced to change that state by applying some external unbalanced force. You have to remember this term, unbalanced force. Why unbalanced? Because after applying unbalanced force, the object can move. If the force is balanced, equal and opposite in direction, the object will not move. So dear students, I hope you have understood Newton's first law of motion. You can explain one or two examples from this while you write the statement. While writing the statement, explaining the examples is must. You can explain 2 to 3 examples from this. And if you have any doubt, then you can mention that in the comment box. To understand what is momentum, let's consider 2 examples. One, we are discussing about situation of truck, and on the second side we are discussing about bullet. Let's consider the case of truck. Initially, let's say the truck is at rest and it is parked along the roadside. So it is not going to harm any person. It is at rest, it is still parked along the roadside. It is not going to harm any person. But let's consider the case The truck is moving with a very little velocity of 5 meter per second. Then the truck being too heavy, it is going to harm a person. It may kill a person which is coming in the path of the truck. It may kill the person. On the other side, the bullet is fired from a gun. Bullet mass is very small, let's say 20 grams, and velocity, it may reach up to 1000 meter per second. In some rifles or pistols it is 500 meter per second. In some, depending on the type of pistol or revolver, it may go up to 1200 meter per second. So what we are discussing here the truck being so heavy but with very little velocity, 5 meter per second, it may harm the person. It may kill the person coming in its path. On the other side, the bullet mass is very small and the velocity is too high. It may kill the person. It is certainly going to kill the person. Two quantities, mass and velocity relationship. Here also we are considering two quantities, mass and velocity. So the impact produced by the object depends on their mass and velocities. Here we are talking about bullet, here we are talking about truck. So the impact they are going to produce on an object, it depends on their mass and velocity both. And now here the term momentum is introduced when we relate both mass and velocity. Momentum is represented by P and it is the product of mass and velocity. So momentum P of an object is defined as the product of its mass and velocity. Here we have written P equal to mass into velocity. M is mass here and V is velocity here. So the SI unit of momentum becomes mass in kg, velocity in meter per second. So kg meter per second is the SI unit of the momentum. This is the SI unit. It has both magnitude and direction. So it's a vector quantity. Momentum is a vector quantity and the direction will be of the direction of velocity. Direction is same as that of velocity. So you have got the concept of momentum. Momentum is the product of mass and velocity, and you can explain it with the help of examples we have discussed earlier, that is truck and bullet. You can compare both of these, both of their mass and velocities. Truck being so heavy and less velocity, bullet has less mass and more velocity. So you can compare both of these for explaining momentum. These are very good examples for explaining the concept of momentum. So dear students, now you have understood the concept of momentum. Now we can easily discuss the second law of motion. You are easily able to understand second law of motion once you understood the concept of momentum. What is second law of motion? Let's understand this with the help of an example. There is a car with a dead battery. Dead battery means initial velocity u is 0. Car is not moving, the battery is dead, initial velocity is 0. And to start this car, speed of 1 meter per second is required to start the engine. How much speed is required? Let's say speed of 1 meter per second is required to start the engine. So final velocity would be 1 meter per second in this particular case. Now how we can start this car? How we can bring it to the speed of 1 meter per second? How we can start the engine? Let's say one or two persons come and they suddenly push the car. That means they are applying the force. So it hardly starts initially. It doesn't start. But when these two persons continuously apply this force for some time, they are applying the force, they are pushing this car continuously for some time. Then after some time, the car may attain the speed of 1 meter per second and the engine gets starts. So we can say that to change the momentum of the car from 0 to some value. Momentum means mass into velocity. Here velocity is this 0 and we multiply it with mass, we will get momentum. So initially the momentum is 0. To change this momentum to some value, force is continuously applied. Continuously applied means it is consuming some time also. That means we are talking about force which is applied for some time. So now we can relate the quantity momentum, force and time. We are about to obtain a beautiful relationship of force, time and momentum. Here initially the momentum was 0 and after some time, after application of some force, we have attained some momentum here, mass into velocity. We have got some value of momentum after starting the engine. So now we can state the second law of motion. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. Here what we had discussed, that we are going to obtain a relationship of force, time and momentum in second law of motion. So how second law of motion is relating these three quantities? How it is relating? You can see here the rate of means whenever we take rate of something, we divide it by time. Change of momentum is final minus initial momentum and we are talking about its rate, so we will divide it by time, is directly proportional, is proportional to the applied unbalanced force. Here we will write force in the direction of force. We are talking about unbalanced force because the car has moved. Only the unbalanced force can bring a movement in the object. Here the car has moved, its engine has started. So we are talking about applied unbalanced force. If the force would be balanced, the car would have not moved at all. Here the car has moved, that means we are talking about unbalanced force. So can you see the relationship here? Force is equal to final minus initial momentum, that is the change of momentum, and we are talking about rate of change, so we have divided this quantity by time, is proportional to the applied unbalanced force. Here we have written force. So this is the second law of motion which we have explained on the basis of this example of car with a dead battery. Let's write the statement clearly. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. So this is our statement of second law of motion. So dear students, I hope you have understood the concept of how to bring momentum in a car with a dead battery, and on the basis of that we have explained second law of motion. So if you have any query regarding that, you can mention it in the comment box. Now on the basis of the statement we have discussed, we can mathematically formulate the second law of motion. We can do the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. Let's discuss the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. For this mathematical formulation, we need to understand the second law of motion. We need to understand the statement of second law of motion. But before that, let's consider an object of mass m moving with initial velocity u, accelerated to final velocity v, accelerated by A, and force applied is F, and time taken is T. We are applying the force on this object of mass m, and after application of force it has been accelerated to velocity, final velocity v. When the initial velocity is u, final is v, and the mass of the object is m, then initial momentum, let's say p1, is equal to mass into velocity, that is m into u, and final momentum will be, let's say p2, it will be mass into velocity m into v. Then change in momentum will be proportional to p2 minus p1, that is final minus initial. We can write it as p2 is mv minus mu. Take m common from this, v minus u, and this change in momentum is mv minus u. To make this value rate of change of momentum, I am writing here rate of change of momentum. We divide this quantity by time t. To make any quantity rate, we will divide this quantity by t. Now here you can relate this point with the statement of second law of motion. This statement is same as the statement of second law of motion. Equation rate of change in momentum is equal to this. This is nothing but our second law of motion. Second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object, this is rate of change of momentum of an object, is proportional to the applied unbalanced force. So now we are writing this as force proportional to rate of change of momentum. What we have written here, this is nothing but the statement of second law of motion, because we are doing the formulation of second law of motion. Now here in this expression, we have to remove this constant of proportionality. Here in this expression, I am removing this proportionality sign and I am writing it F equal to K into mass into acceleration, because this here is change in velocity. This is here rate of change of velocity, that is equal to A, that is acceleration. I have substituted this v minus u upon t as A because this is acceleration, and acceleration is rate of change of velocity. Final minus initial velocity upon time is our acceleration. So this is equation number, let's say this is equation number 1. Now for 1 unit of force, K constant, mass will be 1 kg and acceleration will be 1 meter per second square. From here we are getting the value of K, that is proportionality of constant, equal to 1. 1 unit of force, 1 kg mass and 1 meter per second square acceleration. We are getting the value of K is equal to 1. Now substitute this value of K equal to 1 here in this equation number 1. What we will get? We will get F equal to M into A, and that is nothing but the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. Here we have got a beautiful result which is relating force, mass and acceleration. We can easily use this relation in our numericals. Unit of force is m is kg, mass is in kg, and acceleration and unit of acceleration is meter per second square. So unit of force is kg meter per second square, and that is also known as Newton. We represent it by the symbol N. So dear students, I hope you have understood the mathematical formulation of second law of motion, and we have got the result force equal to mass into acceleration, and SI unit of force is kg meter per second square, that is Newton. If you have any query or doubt regarding this, you can mention it in the comments. Today we are going to discuss third law of motion. Let's understand this with the help of an example. When a gun is fired, bullet moves in the forward direction. It moves in the forward direction. Forward force is acting on the bullet. And what happens after that? Bullet applies backward force on the gun. So the gun moves in the backward direction. Bullet exerts force on the gun in the backward direction. And when force on the gun acts in the backward direction, a jerk is felt on the shoulder of the person, and that is called recoil of the gun. So what is third law of motion? To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Bullet is moving in the forward direction and it is applying force on the gun in the backward direction, and the magnitude of the force is equal and opposite. So a jerk is felt on the shoulder of the person, and that is called recoil of the gun. So the statement of third law of motion is, third law of motion states that when one object exerts a force on another object, the second object instantaneously exerts a force back on the first. This is what we have discussed in this example of recoiling of the gun. Let's discuss few important points. What we have discussed about force here, forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. So force is equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. The two forces are known as action and reaction force. Next point is, alternative statement of third law of motion can be, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. One important point to be noticed is that these two forces, the action force and reaction force, they are acting on two different objects. The action force, which is acting on the bullet in the forward direction, and the reaction force, it is acting on the gun in the backward direction. They are acting on the two different objects. What you have to consider here, they are acting on the two different objects. So you will write, forces are acting on different objects. And when you mention that forces are acting on different objects, you have to specify that the acceleration produced is different on different objects. Acceleration produced will be different. How acceleration produced is different on different objects? We have already discussed force equal to mass into acceleration in our second law of motion, which we have discussed already. We can write this as F equal to m upon a. For a given force, mass is inversely proportional to acceleration. Mass of the bullet is less, so the acceleration produced is more. And on the other hand, mass of the gun is more, so the acceleration produced is less. These are inversely proportional. Mass and acceleration are inversely proportional to each other. Mass of the bullet is less, so the acceleration produced is more, and mass of the gun is more, so the acceleration produced is less. The force of action and reaction, they are acting on different objects. Remember that acceleration produced is also different. If you have any doubt or query, you can mention it in the comment box. Discuss conservation of momentum. Conservation of momentum means momentum is going to remain unchanged before the collision of the objects and after the collision of the two objects. We can discuss it with the help of an example. Let's say there is a ball A having a mass ma and it is moving with a velocity ua. U, that means it is initial velocity of the ball A. There is another ball B and mass of this ball is m. We are presenting it with mb and it is moving with the initial velocity ub. This is the situation before collision. So before collision, can you calculate the total momentum here? Mass of this ball is m and initial velocity is this. So the total momentum before collision is ma ua plus mb UB. This is the momentum of these two balls before collision. Total momentum of the two balls. And when these two balls collide with each other, FAB is the force applied by ball A on ball B, and in return FBA is the force applied by ball B on ball A. And now when the collision has occurred, ball A is moving with velocity VA, this is the final velocity, and ball B is moving with the final velocity VB. Mass is going to remain same, MA and MB. This is the picture going to be after collision. After collision, what we have changed? The velocity of their movement. Velocity VA of ball A, velocity VB of ball B. After collision. So after collision, what will be the momentum? MAVA plus MBVB. Here we have written before collision, here we have written momentum after collision. Can we write the expression for action force? FAB. FAB is the force which was applied by ball A on ball B. FAB. It is mass into acceleration, and acceleration can be written as change of velocity by time. Final velocity minus initial velocity by time, that is our acceleration. Similarly, we can also write the expression for force applied by ball B on ball A. Mass into acceleration, and acceleration can be written as change in velocities by time taken. This is the final velocity minus initial velocity upon time, that is our acceleration. Change in velocities upon time, or rate of change of velocity, is our acceleration. Substituted the value of A, that is acceleration, by this. Now according to third law of motion, we already know that action force is equal and opposite to that of reaction force. This is our action force, this is our reaction force. So can we write these values here? Cancel out this T with this T. Keep in mind this negative sign here, because action force is equal and opposite to that of reaction force. Now just rearrange the terms. This can be written as MAVA, this MBVB here with plus sign, MBVB equal to MAUA plus minus minus plus. Take this minus MB inside and minus UB here, it will become plus MBUB. So this is our momentum after the collision, and this is our momentum before the collision. This means that the momentum is going to remain unchanged after the collision of two objects. It is going to be conserved, and that is our law of conservation of momentum. Here you can see the total momentum of the two objects remain unchanged after the collision. This is the value after the collision, this is the value before the collision, and they are equal. That means the momentum is conserved. The total momentum is conserved here. Now we can write the law of conservation of momentum statement. The law of conservation of momentum states that the sum of momenta of the two objects before collision is equal to the sum of momenta after the collision, provided there is no external unbalanced force. This is something what we have discussed here in this example of collision of two balls. So dear students, today we have discussed conservation of momentum with the help of this example, and we have also discussed law of conservation of momentum statement here. So if you have any doubt regarding this, you can mention it in the comment box. And dear students, if you have understood the concept, if you are getting the concept, then you kindly like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.